Have you been told you need to stop doing what you love, whether it's exercise, running, or a sport? Well, here at Dynamic, we don't like that answer. In this podcast, we'll talk to leaders in the health and wellness space from Southwest Florida to get the solutions you need to get you back to doing what you love. Welcome to the Dynamic Naples Podcast. What's up, Naples? Today I have a very special guest, Pete Farhedian. He is the owner of Anytime Fitness on Pine Ridge in Livingston. Is that correct? Right. He's a coach. Do you prefer coach or personal trainer? What do you prefer?
Coach.
Yeah. I feel like the term personal trainer is sort of fallen out of fashion. Is that true?
I wouldn't say that it's fallen out of fashion. I just think that it's kind of confined to like a personal trainer, is someone you may get at like a big box gym, and that's
Gotcha.
Somebody who's just there to just do the training. Whereas in coaching, like I pride myself on the fact that I coach people from all different aspects, anything from nutrition to accountability to the training side of things. And then also with their, personal life, home life, work life, balance, things like that.
Perfect. So, yeah, I love that. All right. So tell us about you. Are you from Naples?
Not originally. No, I'm from Long Island, New York, and I moved here in 2002. So I just turned 12.
Okay.
And my family moved down here. We used to come to Florida every year for vacation, but to the other coast.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that my best friend from New York, and it was also my neighbor, him and his family moved down here about 6 months before we came on vacation, and they bought a house here. Came to visit them, and long story short, purchased a home while we were here on vacation and kind of never looked back. So
yeah,
that's how I ended up down here. And
I'm a Boston transplant and I have no plans on going back. So I've been here like 16 years or
17. Yeah. I don't go back much. I go back to the city every once in a while just for vacation, to check it out. But I haven't been back to Long Island actually since I left there. So
have you lived anywhere else in Florida?
I have not. No, just Naples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you guys went to the East Coast, where would you go?
To a place called Hutchinson Island, which is like kind of by Stewart. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that area, but Cocoa Beach area, all kind of within that area over there.
Yeah, so a few hours north of Fort Lauderdale, I think.
Yes, correct.
Gotcha.
Yep,
gotcha.
That's correct. Yeah, kind of a small little island that's peaceful and not much to do there, but for some reason we'd always go there, and it was always nice, playing the water and stuff like that.
So what got you into fitness? Like growing up, were you into sports?
Actually, I did play a little bit of sports when I was younger. But as far as my fitness goes, I started in 8th grade or going into 8th grade. We had a gym in my parents' neighborhood here in Naples, and kind of started playing around in there. And a friend of mine, his mom was a trainer. And she was in great shape, and like she kind of took us a few times together and showed us a few things, and I really took to it. Like I enjoyed it a lot. Kind of a funny story. I actually like really fell in love with it once we did arms one day, right? And we did so many sets that like the next week I couldn't straighten my arms out all the way, and I thought that was like the coolest thing ever because my arms felt so like pumped up that I was like, this is awesome. I wish they'd stay like this. And that's kind of like the beginning of my addiction to fitness.
That's a good feeling. I remember one time my buddy and I, we were probably about that age. We decided to do like a ton of heel raises for whatever reason. Like we did, I was living in New Jersey at the time actually, and we had 2 sets of stairs, and we're like, all right, we're gonna do 10 reps in the first step, 11 in the second, 13. So we just kept getting higher and higher reps. By the time we got to the top, we could barely move, and I couldn't walk for like 3 days. couldn't
put your heels on the ground.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is legit.
For sure, it's happened to me too.
Yeah,
I've done that.
So what sports did you play growing up? Did you play lacrosse?
I played soccer. I know I played basketball, soccer, and I played a little bit of rugby going into like my sophomore year. But that was back when I went to Gulf Coast High School here, but they had just started doing rugby out at Palmetto, and they didn't offer it at Gulf Coast yet. So I would drive out there to play a little bit, but it interfered with I've always been a worker. So like ever since I was actually in like 6th grade, I had a job. And so in high school, I had an actual real job where I would have to go 5 days a week, and I worked at a restaurant. So the practice interfered with work. And at that time I felt like money was more important than playing rugby. So I chose that instead.
So you always had a very strong work ethic, it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. And I was on drumline too. So like that took up quite a bit of my time in high school. So I just kind of put my efforts into that. And I was always a drummer since I was like 8 years old. So I enjoyed that. And it was something I wanted to stick to. So
Cool. You kind of mentioned you started working out in eighth grade, right? Were you actually like lifting weights and like
yeah,
getting
for
underneath
sure.
squat bars and stuff like that? Or
Yeah, that was more or less like summer going into my freshman year. My parents had a home up in North Carolina because my grandma lived up there. And the summer before ninth grade, we spent the entire summer up there. I was there for like 2 months. And at that time, like no joke, it was like a 14-hour drive. So I read the entire Arnold encyclopedia on the drive up. So by the time I got there, I was like so fired up to train. Nice. And I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything because I just read an encyclopedia. So of course I like got to work and I trained 6 days a week. Literally like the entire time that I was there at a gym up there in the neighborhood. And there was nothing else to do. So I literally just slept, ate, and trained. Yeah. And that was it, man. So when I came back, it's like one of those things that I didn't even realize that I had changed much because I wasn't really paying attention to it. I was more like obsessed with the act of training, like doing the work. So, but I remember I came back and I got like so many compliments going into like my freshman year. People like really noticed a big difference. That was the big confidence booster for me and just like made me fall in love with it more,
Yeah. It's always like hard to see the change when it's so gradual.
That's, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's one thing too. So, for those listening, I hired Pete as a coach because I need a little push. And it's part of the accountability is taking photos of yourself. So I think it's good to do that because it's really easy to not see results when it's that slow, gradual thing. But when you start to look week to week, like, oh, how about that? A little bit's coming off the belly, a little definition here.
Absolutely.
So that makes a
100%.
huge difference. Absolutely.
Yeah. If you don't, the saying, if it doesn't get measured, it doesn't get managed. It's like it's easy to lose sight of like the small changes that are occurring that compound into big ones over time. Just like anything else, like your bank account. It's like if you're not tracking your finances, things like that, it's easy to overspend or not save. And it's the same concept with anything, really. It's like the more things that you can use or tools that you can use to measure your success, the more committed you'll be. And then also you'll feel a lot better about those little victories that you are getting because you're progressing, and progress is the key to staying motivated. Absolutely. And building discipline. So, yeah.
So how many years have you been coaching for?
Started at 19 and I'm 32. So,
gotcha. Yeah. All right. So what's like, if you said there's one thing that like everyone kind of fails at, or like, what's the one hole in, the most common hole in everyone's game, would you say, when it comes to training and staying healthy?
Consistency.
Yeah.
Most people aren't consistent enough to really make big changes. And a lot of times it comes down to like having like a commitment to something. So whether that's, a huge one that works really well is money. You know what I mean? So it's like if you financially commit to something that is a big financial commitment to you, like obviously that's relative to the person and their finances. But if you make a big enough commitment with your wallet, typically you're going to be more inclined to actually do what you're supposed to do. So I feel like, consistency is key. And if you can, find a way to make yourself accountable and the most consistent, you're going to get the best result,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like pretty much why I hired you, because I was having big time consistency issues, and that's kind of coming back again. I used to be really good and self-motivated, and I'm a physical therapist, so I've been doing this and I used to be a personal trainer at one point, so I know what I'm doing, but sometimes I just need that push. Because a father too, man, it's exhausting with a 3-year-old. So I think that's where things really taper off. I now understand where dad bod comes from.
And it's also like if you can, you're also being smart about it because listen, you have a lot on your plate, right? And it's just like anything else. It's like if you can outsource those other things that like you're not doing good at, and you have an expert take care of it for you, like you're eliminating the stress of all of that. You know what I mean? If you give it to an expert and they just say, hey, do this, Chris, this is what you're going to do. Like we did, and you just do it, you just execute. It's a lot easier. You don't have to think about it, stress about it. Same thing with like nutrition. A lot of people stress about like, oh, I got a meal prep. And it's like, okay, well, if you have a problem, then order your food, have somebody else make it and deliver it. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to save money anyway, because if you're always like not meal prepping, that means you're eating out at a restaurant, or you're going to Chick-fil-A every day for lunch, and then you're going to Starbucks, and then, you know what I mean? It's like that you're blowing probably like $150 in a day anyway. You might as well just order the food from a good source that's going to give you like high quality food and hit your macros, and then now you're in shape. You didn't have to do anything. You just eat the food. It's just an elimination, and that's the key to being, like you said, if you're a father, you want to spend time with your family, and you want to have that time to do things that are more important than meal prepping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I always think it's good to get another set of eyes on you. Even if you know 100% what to do, it's very hard to not get into a routine and kind of, after a while, you start doing the same things over and over, even if you're trying to throw in variation. It's sometimes just good to get someone else's ideas, try some new movements. I think that's really important, because
absolutely
it gets hard to get creative and keep changing things up. So, and then you're in the style, the way you train me is so different from how I've trained. It's a lot more intense. I'd definitely say, man, the first phase when I think I was deadlifting like 12 sets or something like that.
Yeah,
it was awesome. It crushed me, but man, my back felt fantastic.
Yeah,
so,
it's definitely a way to jumpstart it. To create kind of some momentum and motivation to get you excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's a part of it too. I guess, to go back to your original question, which is like where most people fail. It's also a lot of people fail with making it like a lifestyle and making it enjoyable, but what it takes to get to that point is consistency, right? You need the routine and the discipline first, because at first it's going to suck, especially if you're not used to doing that and committing that amount of time to training and eating right. It's a big change. So for a lot of people, just don't give it enough time, I think, to turn it into a lifestyle. It's like saying that's it's a lifestyle. It's not a life sentence. Like, your life shouldn't feel like it's going to end because you're getting healthy and fit,
Right. Yeah. And I want to mention something too, because I think there's this like misconception out there that deadlifting is bad for you or bad for your back or something stupid like that. And to me, it's like, as a therapist, if I have someone come to me for back pain, you're going to end up deadlifting at some point. I think it's the best exercise for your back.
For sure.
I just want to.
I love that you said that, because I feel like a lot of other therapists would say that don't, to avoid that. But obviously, if it's done correctly and everything else is in alignment, then by all means, that's going to be your solution.
Right. Same thing with squats and knees. Everyone thinks squatting is bad for your knees, and I just the opposite. If you got knee pain, I'm going to make a squat, graded, and I'm going to progress it in a way that's pain free. But I just think it's a weird thing that still exists. I don't know why that's out there. Also, you mentioned Chick-fil-A. I feel like people think Chick-fil-A is healthy.
You're going to think I'm nuts. I've never had it in my life. I've never tried it. Never tried it.
I've only had it once. I mean, if anything's fried, if it's fried, it's cooked in vegetable oil, and it's probably terrible for you. So
I'm sure they probably have grilled options and things like, a lot of places do now, where you can get like, without the bun, or maybe in like a low carb wrap or something like that. So I'm sure there probably is healthy options, but at the end of the day, it's still fast food. But if it's not like something that you're doing, more than once a week, I think you'd probably be all right. But I don't know what the quality of the food is like. I've never had it, but I would assume that if it's fast food, it's probably not the highest quality.
Like when I had it was like chicken nuggets and like dipping sauces, which are probably loaded with sugar. So.
Yeah. Again, it's like, what if it's not the major percentage of your food that you're eating, if you stick to the 80-20 rule, you're usually pretty good. 80% of the time you're eating, things that you make at home, and it's from high quality food that you get at a good store, and you're going to be all right. But I mean, food is fuel, that. It's like, you don't put, if you want to have a Ferrari body, you're not going to put the low grade fuel in your car, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That, as I've gotten older, I'm 44. So as I've gotten older, I've realized more and more that the diet aspect is, I think, is more important than the actual training part. I mean, obviously it's both important.
It is. Yeah. You can, I was just having that conversation with a friend that you can get away, it depends on your, obviously your level of fitness and like how long you've been training for, but like ultimately, man, if you're good with your nutrition 80% of the time, you can get away with training 3 times a week for like 30 to 40 minutes at a time. And that's plenty to stimulate growth and, or at least to maintain a good physique. You don't need much more than that. Now, I'm not saying that if somebody is a beginner or even an intermediate, or they haven't trained in a long time, it's going to require more effort than that. But if you're in a good place with your body, to maintain a good physique doesn't take much. So,
right.
Yeah.
What would you say your approach is to training? Like, what's your style? I don't know. How would you describe it?
Like my own personal style, or like when I'm coaching people? Probably
your coaching style.
Yeah. My coaching style is I don't have a coaching style. My style is I take whatever is necessary and I think is going to be the best plan for somebody's goals. So now a lot of times, most coaches or trainers would have like maybe a one style fits all. Like some people are all keto, like that's all they do with their nutrition is like just keto. But unfortunately, that's not the solution, because humans are obviously all the same in some ways, but there's so many other factors that come into play that there is not one diet that's going to work for everybody. And there's not one training program that's going to work for everybody. And now nobody's a snowflake, you know what I mean? Like we are all very similar. So certain rules apply no matter what, you know what I mean? But ultimately, when it comes down to it, it matters like where somebody is in their training. If they're a beginner, an intermediate, if they're advanced, if they have injuries. And same thing goes for nutrition. If they have food allergies, if they want to lose weight, gain weight, build muscle, like those are all different factors. If their hormones are out of whack, like, there's so many factors. If they're diabetic. So each case is different and everyone's at a different point with their health and fitness. And I take that into account when I design a program, because that matters a lot. So I don't have a one style fits all. My coaching is like really more, it's all about the client and what they need. And then that's what I design. So
that's great. Yeah. I think that's a sign of a talented trainer and coach, someone who can adapt to the client. So I think it's probably, I imagine most trainers and coaches that start out probably have a style. And then as they get better and better, you learn to maneuver according to the client. And that's why I love it. When I first hired you, I was like, look, my issue is time and consistency. It still is. And you're like, perfect. Then you just mapped out, you gave me the time slots, when to work out. And you're like, okay, I'm going to give you half-hour workouts. And it made it much more achievable for me. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. I'm glad it worked for you.
Yeah, my wife saw some results, so she's happy.
All about the wife.
So yeah, exactly. So Pete, where do people find you?
Well, you can find me at Anytime Fitness on the corner of Livingston and Pine Ridge Road in Naples. Or you can find me on Instagram at Peter Henry Fit, and on Facebook, Peter Farhedian, my full name. And that's about it. Or you can email me at info@fitnessbypete.com with any questions or concerns that you may have. And we can take it from there. Okay, great. Yeah, I want to respect your time. Everybody check out Coach Pete. He definitely kicked my ass. Check him out. He's got some good stuff. Pete, I want to thank you so much, and we'll chat soon. All right, thanks, Chris. Do you have unexplained pain? Or do you wonder just how healthy you are? When was the last time you had your blood tested? Blood chemistry analysis is a great way to stay ahead of any health conditions, and now you can have control of your health with Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked is an incredible company that sends blood tests to your home. You can choose from over 30 different tests, whether that's liver function, testosterone, micronutrient, cholesterol, or C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation. It's sent to you with free shipping, and you get results in 2 to 5 days, no physician referral needed. Use the code DPT20 for 20% off. Go to letsgetchecked.com and use the code DPT20. Did you know that you can get started with physical therapy without a physician's referral? Physical therapists don't just solve pain, we get down to the root cause and keep it from coming back. We also discuss all things health, such as nutrition and lifestyle changes. If you feel that you could use some help, let's get on a free consult call. Go to www.dynamicnaples.com and sign up for a free call. Also, if you like this podcast, please give us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us spread the message. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.